In this video, I'm going to give you some advice as well as some tips and tricks for solving the first two centers opposite one another. So here are some tips for solving the first two centers on your 4x4. Obviously the first thing, and I've mentioned this before in previous videos, but you should actually solve your first center onto the bottom so that you then solve your second center on the top. So similarly to how you do it on the 3x3, so you solve your cross on the bottom so that you can look ahead a little bit more into your F2L. You should solve your first center onto the bottom so that you can look ahead into your second center. By this stage, you should be really good at solving centerpieces, so it's certainly not a stretch to actually use more of your inspection time to plan at the very least one full center as well as a line on the other center. And if you want to stretch yourself, you can try and plan the first two centers out in your inspection time, because there is plenty of inspection time for advanced cubers to actually do this. So normally it shouldn't take you very long to actually plan out one center, but you should try and plan out two. And further to that, you can try and do drills such as solving them blindfolded. I don't know whether that's particularly effective for something like 4x4 because you're not really going to be looking ahead too much into your cross after that. The other thing you can do that's quite useful is try and preserve solved edge pieces. So, for example here, if we've got this white and blue one, we're probably not going to do it in this solve, but where it is easy, you should try and preserve a cross edge, and only when it's really easy. As you're solving your first center, you actually want to solve it in a way that influences the pieces of your second center. So here we've got this example, we've got the yellow bar down here, so we can move it out of the way by doing a D prime. Then to pair up these two, we can pair them up in a few different ways. So we can go something like U then R, like that. Or we could go F and then R. And I think in this case, definitely in this case, doing F and then R is better because we've got this white one and this white one down here. So that when we do FR, we make this bar and we also make this bar. And then to insert this, instead of just going, U prime R2, like that, to put it into the bottom, we can do, U prime F, and then go something like R, U2, R, like that, to put these two up there. So yeah, you should always be thinking about how to solve the first center to influence pieces on your second center. So here's just another quick example of influencing your second center whilst you're solving your first center. So we've got these two on the bottom left, we've got these two that we want to solve, and we can do an R2 and then a U, so an inner slice U, to pair up these two white ones on the front like that. So it would look like R2U. Like that. And notice that when we do our U, this yellow one moves from here over to here. So R2U, like that. And then we also notice that we've got this yellow one on the top, which moves from here to here after those two moves. So after we do that, instead of doing the R prime straight away, we can actually rotate the back face anti-clockwise to move this one from there over to there, so that when we do our R prime, these two get matched up. So that's just another, quick example of doing, of influencing your second center whilst you're solving your first center, which is something you always want to be thinking about as you get more advanced with Yao method. The other thing is, with your inspection time, you want to plan the most finger-friendly solutions to your first center as possible. So here we've got these two. We've also got this one here and this one here. Now it's probably quite easy to just do something like, move this up there, then do a U2, and then maybe rotate and put the other line up there. But instead of doing that, we can actually do a far more finger-friendly and really easy solution that we can kind of execute in just one swift move. So it would look something like this. So these two here, these two here, this one, and this one. So we can go like this. U prime, R2, L prime, U, like that. So that one's really easy. You can, if I do that, I can do that in less than a second easily, as opposed to, if I was to solve the exact same centerpieces by doing an R prime U2, rotate U prime R like that. Also, that's not good because we're solving it onto the top. We want to always solve it onto the bottom for the most part. So yeah, that's what I mean by trying to solve the first center or even the first two centers using the most finger-friendly solutions. And these are things that you can try and plan out in your inspection time, as well as when you're doing slow solves to try and be more efficient, not only with your move count, but also with your finger tricks. So here's just an example of a couple of other random fancy center tricks. So if we've got these three and this one here, instead of, doing F2 and then inserting it like that, we can do something like this. Wide move R, wide move U, wide move R prime, like that. So it's just doing R, U, R prime, all with wide turns. and it's probably a little bit easier than doing the F2 and then inserting the last center. The inverse of that, so doing wide R, wide U prime, wide R prime, actually solves this case. So if we've got this one on the front, this one here, and these two like that, doing wide R, U prime, wide R prime solves them. However, we don't want to really solve it on the top, so we can do something like R, B prime, R prime, and then like rotate to put it on the bottom, or make it end up on the bottom. So I mentioned preserving solved cross edges before. So if we get a case like this, where we've solved our first center and we've got these two cross edges that fell into place on the bottom, instead of going ahead and solving the next center, what we can do is actually do a D prime to preserve it over here, and then go ahead and solve our yellow center like that. Because if we didn't do a D prime before, then these moves would have actually, messed up these two cross pieces. But all we need to do is just move it out of the way. That's what I mean when I say, only do it when it's really easy like that. When you have really easy cases, and you don't want to be, doing unnecessary things to actually preserve just one cross edge, and making your second center a lot slower. But when it's easy, certainly do it.